so I can speak on the Padilla matter because I was at the press conference today.
Wubba, wubba,
Whoa!
wubba.
Hello,
Hello,
Bonus.
Zelig. Here you are. You're
That's right,
everywhere.
There are
We should've
seven
led-
of me.
we should have led
No,
with
but
Nancy.
I mean,
Did you see him enter the room?
Now, hold on.
Okay.
There's a
What?
caveat here.
Yeah.
We were told to show up at 10:30 Pacific time, got there early. Of course, there was a line and they didn't let us in. Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, me, LA Times. So we actually stood outside, like all crowded around someone's phone listening to it. There obviously were some press in the room, but I don't know who they were. Let me tell you about the lunging, okay? There was so much security at this building. Okay, to get in the building, they had to check everything. Every door, there's security. When you walk in the parking lot, there's the National Guard. The idea that this guy, Padilla, who was, in fact, John is correct, he was in the building for another meeting and decided to go into the press conference. The idea that he was just able to like do anything he wanted wherever he wanted is nonsense. I'm sorry. There is a lot of security. Now, was he identified? No, he was wearing like, civilian clothes. Apparently he did identify himself.
Well, you can hear it on the video.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
but to
buy the
whom?
one. Well, exactly, but you're absolutely right, John.
Yeah.
Like the guys there, they're like Secret Service. They don't know who he is. They could be from Indiana. They don't know who this guy is. And he wasn't dressed like that. The lunging part, was he being performative? Yes. Does a friend of mine who lives here said the guy's a bum? Okay. Was he lunging? I highly doubt it. What had happened when he started to overspeak and throw a question at her, she had been saying the following. She had been saying about how terrible Los Angeles is and how they're here to liberate the city. And I think he was just like, he just called it. Like, lady, what are you doing? We're fine. Okay, we can talk about that. But now, Secret Service, I have a friend who actually has worked with the Secret Service, and he texted me and said, he said regarding Padilla, sorry, I can't find it now, that basically this is what the Secret Service, they were doing their jobs. They are trained to keep anybody away from the person they're protecting. So they did do their jobs. Was it maybe a little excessive? I mean, maybe, but they didn't know who the guy was. So John is correct. Like, they don't know who this
Although by the time they get him out in the hallway,
they knew.
and
It's a little
put him on the ground, and cuff him.
Yeah.
But here's what I want to say, and then Nancy, I want you to overview for us.
Yep.
You three are very reasonable people, and you've been very reasonable here, and even John has had an on the one hand, on the other hand. I say even John just because
I'm a man of the people, Mark.
You're the man of the people. This is what's wrong with polarized America. There's no nuance on Twitter. Caroline Levitt, Padilla should be in prison. Eric Swalwell, Noam should be in prison. Like, and same on cable. Like, there are facts. We've run through them very nicely, and with the help of my colleagues' great pulling of clips, like, probably should have identified himself more clearly. Clearly, there was a performance. I mean, some level of performative. Clearly, the agents, at least in the hallway, overreacted. Clearly, he shouldn't be so indignant because I could tell you this. I once was at a late for a Trump event in Vegas, and the security line was long, and the agents, in all honesty, weren't doing that great a job. And I was so frustrated that I might miss the event that I threw my briefcase onto the metal detector, the scanner. I just threw it down, and the agents rushed me. They rushed me because they were upset that someone had thrown something down like it was going to be a bomb. And I did not spend the night in jail, but I might have. My point is, they have a really tough job. And if somebody rushes the principal, they're going to react to it. Now, again, by the time they got in the hallway, probably cooler heads should have prevailed. But I get, even if you assume the absolute minimum, they didn't rush her. He just started walking up, but they didn't know who she was. And even though that building is very secure, as John has said, and you've said, their job is to protect her. And she's the head of Homeland Security. She gets threats every day. John, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, the city's on a hair trigger. There's a thing going on where ICE agents are being attacked. Everyone is in a state of adrenalized high alert. And if you're a Secret Service agent and Noam is there giving a press conference, and a guy who is not press comes in and starts saying, "I'm the king of Armenia. I'd like to ask you a question." Like, you're going to go, we better get this guy out of this room because he may be a complete psycho. And not only that, even though it looks to me like it's excessive because he's a 55-year-old man and you're putting him on the floor and handcuffing him, what do you know what he has in his pockets? You don't know what he has in his pockets.
100%,
You don't know if he's going to pull
100%.
out a gun.
All
So in
100%,
that sense, I
100%,
felt that's why I said I feel bad for the Secret Service agents.
But
Noam's rhetoric is ridiculous.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. The lunging rhetoric is ridiculous. Caroline Leavitt is being ridiculous.
Correct. All of this. But everybody should calm the F down, is my point. No one died. He's fine. Everybody should calm down. This is like the distraction of the Newsom-Trump conflict. Calm down. We're waiting for the judge to rule on whether Newsom's far-fetched case, I'll prejudge it, whether he can try to block the use of the guard, but everybody should calm down. Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a clip, and you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.